And now it's time for the further adventures of Ryder and Mr. Self. One day, a group of rough-looking hobos made their way past the school. "Look at those hobos," a young boy named Kaysen jeered. "They look so rough-looking and hobo-ish that if they were to join together and form a state, even Jacob wouldn't draft them in our fantasy league that I totally dominate." Kaysen was a rather delusional young man, so while most people couldn't understand what he had just said, what he was trying to go for was, "Those guys look rough." Ryder reminded his classmates that we're all Mr. Self's children. There was a lot of awkward looking around after he mentioned that. "I feel like Ava snack time is ruined when weirdos are around," Kaysen said. Ryder knew that Mr. Self came to serve the least of these. After all, that's why he went to Wilsonville in the first place. He knew he should be brave. "Hello, fellow pilgrims," Ryder said as he addressed the hobos. "For are we all not just passing through this land under the guidance of Mr. Self? Please, make yourself at home." The hobos rejoiced at their good favor and came at once. All the other kids criticized Ryder, saying things like, "Never invite a hobo or a vampire into your school," and "The BO at our school is already bad enough. Now this?" and "Shouldn't people have to pass screening to be around us since we are special snowflakes?" The last criticism was true, sort of. I mean, the kids weren't special snowflakes, but people did have to pass screening. "It's okay," the hobos said when they were informed that they would need to provide 7 types of identification, 3 blood samples, 5 scratch and sniff tests, and 3 blind taste tests to prove they could tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi before they could be allowed in the building. "We like the roof." None of the office staff could find a rule against that, although in hindsight they did think it would probably not be a good idea to have predators on the roof. Oh well, they thought, there's always the next generation to care for. Most of the students at Columbiana Middle could care less about the hobos, other than caring that they were up on the roof and creeping the kids out. Ryder tried to calm their fears. Their shadows are scary," they would say. "Think of them as angels watching over you," Ryder would reply. "Angels don't have shadows," they would say. "Let's not let theological details divide us," Ryder would say. "I bet they're up here right now, watching over us, looking for monsters that have escaped from the girls' bathroom after destroying Dad's." The students couldn't figure out what Ryder was talking about with dads and death and girls' bathroom and monsters, but they did feel better after what Ryder had said, and all was right in the world until the boom started. Boom, boom, boom. The noise would sound and the desks would shake. "It's the fat 8th graders roaming the halls without passes!" they would scream. "It's a cannon sounding for every point. SCHS football has given up this season," others would yell. "It's the hobos," said the ones who were actually bright enough to realize what was going on, so it was like 1 or 2 kids. Ryder knew he had to save the hobos and reassure his classmates. He went to the roof to speak with the hobos. "Have you guys ever tried selfies?" he asked. "What are those?" "They're the most awesome shoes that are named after Mr. Self." Turns out, none of the hobos had ever heard of selfies, some of the most coveted shoes on the planet. Ryder got every hobo a pair. After all, he and Mr. Self were tight. And so in no time at all, the hobos were treading awesomeness all over the top of the roof at CMS. Ryder and Mr. Self had saved the day again.